They called me the trash in 3B. The single mom with the screaming kid and the always dirty hoodie. I heard them. Every whisper. Every laugh. Every time they walked past my door and paused just long enough to let their judgments hang in the air like smoke. I didn't say anything. I didn't fight back. Because if I opened my mouth, the truth would spill out. And I wasn't ready for that. Houston wasn't kind to people like me. You'd think a big city would mean more space to breathe, more room to be invisible. But somehow, in this broken-down apartment complex on the east side, invisibility didn't exist. Everyone noticed everything. They noticed that my curtains were always closed. That I never had visitors. That my son Mason didn't play with the other kids. And that I came home late, usually looking like I'd been hit by a truck. No one ever asked what I did for work. They just assumed. Probably a waitress. Maybe a janitor. Welfare mom. One woman even muttered, "Hooker," under her breath one time when I passed her on the stairs. I work in an ER. The graveyard shift. I'm a trauma nurse. I've held intestines in place with gloved hands. I've whispered comfort into ears moments before the monitors went flat. I've walked into blood-soaked caves and walked out quiet and cold. But out here? None of that matters. Here, I'm just a tired woman dragging groceries up 3 flights of stairs with a silent kid clinging to her coat. Mason is 6. Beautiful. Smart. Sensitive. Too sensitive for a world like this. He doesn't talk much. That's his thing. He observes. Feels. Absorbs everything. His teacher once said he reads emotions like other kids read books. He knows they don't like us. One morning, I opened my door to find gum smashed into my doormat. Bright pink. Still wet. It spelled something, pig. That was the first time I let my anger show. I didn't scream. I didn't throw it back at them. I picked it up, walked inside, sat down, and stared at it in my palm for nearly 30 minutes. That same day, someone slid a note under my door. No envelope. No name. Just block letters in all caps. "We know you're not who you pretend to be." I laughed. For a second. Until I realized they were right. I wasn't. But not the way they thought. That night, I stared out my window long after Mason fell asleep. Lights from the building across flickered in and out. I watched shadows move. I counted footsteps in the hallway. I kept replaying the same question over and over in my head. How much do they actually know? And what happens if they find out everything? The next morning, I noticed the woman in 2C watching me from her window. She didn't look away when I met her eyes. Just kept staring, like she was trying to see through my skin. I took Mason's hand and walked him to school like always. Except that day, someone had scratched the words, "Bad MOM," into the side of my car. Not spray paint. Not a sticker. A blade. Deep enough to flake off the silver. I stared at it for a full minute before unlocking the door. Mason didn't say a word, but I could feel him shrinking beside me, like he was trying to disappear. I dropped him off, forced a smile, waved to the teacher. Then I sat in the parking lot, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. Who did it? Why now? What had I done, other than exist, that made them hate me so much? I started noticing things. Small things. A man in a blue hoodie who passed our unit twice every night around 2 a.m. A white SUV parked across the street with tinted windows, different license plate every time. And once, when I got home from work, the lock on my front door felt off. Not broken. Not picked. But wrong. Like someone had touched it. A week later, I came home to find Mason sitting in the corner, hugging his knees, tears running down his face. He pointed to the hallway window. There was a face, he whispered. In the glass? Watching me. I searched the whole building. Every hallway. Every stairwell. Nothing. But I knew what I felt. Eyes. Like the walls themselves were alive, watching me. That night, someone knocked on my door. 3 sharp raps. No voice. No footsteps before or after. Just a knock. When I opened it, there was no one there. Only another note, taped to the doorframe this time. You should leave before they find out. I didn't sleep. I sat at the kitchen table until the sun came up, staring at the note and wondering if I should pack our bags. But I had nowhere else to go. No one to turn to. The only thing more dangerous than staying was running, and leaving a trail behind me. At work that night, I kept checking my phone between patients. Just waiting for the call. The one that would say something had happened to Mason. That someone had gotten to him. Around 4:30 a.m. One of the security guards came into the break room where I was trying to drink a cup of burnt coffee. Hey, he said. You drive a silver Hyundai, right? My stomach flipped. There was a guy taking pictures of it in the parking lot. I didn't say anything. Just stood. My legs moved on their own. When I got outside, the guy was gone, but a small envelope had been placed under my windshield wiper. Inside was a single photo. Of me. Taken from above. Through a window. I was sleeping in bed. My arm wrapped around Mason. Whoever took it had been inside. Or close enough to be. The line had been crossed. I wasn't paranoid anymore. Someone was watching us. And they wanted us to know. I called the police. I showed them the note. The photo. The scratches on my car. They nodded, took notes, asked the usual questions. No, I hadn't seen the person. No, there were no witnesses. No. I didn't have security cameras. Then they left. Just like that. One of the officers paused before getting in his cruiser. Probably some bored teenagers, he said. This part of Houston's full of them. Teenagers didn't slide threatening notes under doors. Teenagers didn't know how to change license plates or take surveillance photos through third-floor windows. This was something else. And the neighbors, they were getting bolder. I passed the woman in 4A on the stairs. She didn't even pretend to smile this time. Just muttered, "Whore," under her breath and kept walking. Another left a trash bag outside my door, filled with used diapers and raw chicken parts. The message was clear. I didn't belong here. But they didn't know the half of it. What I was hiding wasn't shameful. It wasn't illegal. It was just private. And powerful. Late one night, I opened the closet in my bedroom, pushed Mason's clothes aside, and felt for the hidden panel in the back. It clicked open beneath my fingers. Inside, a metal box, locked, untouched for 2 years. I placed it on the floor and stared at it. I hadn't opened it since the trial. The trial no one here knew about. Because my name, Vanessa Brooks, wasn't always mine. I was once known by a different name. A name that made headlines across 3 states. I was the whistleblower in one of the biggest medical fraud cases in Texas history. I testified against a billion-dollar hospital network that had been covering up fatal misdiagnosis, falsifying reports, and killing patients with preventable errors. People died. I tried to stop it. I collected evidence, recorded conversations, risked my life. And when I spoke out, they ruined me. I lost my license, my job, my husband, my old life. I was doxxed, threatened, followed. My son's preschool got death threats. So I ran. I changed everything. New name. New job. New city. I thought I'd buried it all in that box: court transcripts, audio files, flash drives. A burner phone with calls I never dared return. But someone had found me. The only question was, who? And how long did I have before everything collapsed again? That morning, I didn't take Mason to school. Instead, I drove us out of the city. Not far, just enough to get clear of the eyes I couldn't see but always felt. We ended up at an old rest stop off the highway. Empty picnic benches, rusted vending machines, and the kind of silence that felt suspicious. Mason sat across from me with his backpack on his lap like he was ready to run at any second. His eyes were wide, waiting for answers, for safety, for me to be strong. I told him everything. Not every gritty detail. Not the blood, not the lawsuits. Not the betrayals that left scars I still wake up clawing at. But enough. Enough to make him understand why I always triple-checked the locks. Why we moved in the middle of the night. Why he wasn't allowed to post photos online or tell his teachers too much. He didn't cry. Didn't even blink. He just said, "Do you think it's them?" I nodded. "I think someone told them where we are." The ride back was quiet. The roads blurred under the gray sky, and I kept checking the rearview mirror, half expecting that white SUV to reappear. It didn't. But when we pulled into the apartment complex, something was different. All the curtains on the third floor, every single window facing my unit, were closed. Not cracked. Not tilted. Shut tight. And taped to my door was a piece of paper. One word. Red ink. Bold letters. Liar. I scanned the parking lot. Empty. Too empty. Houston never slept. But suddenly the air felt like it was holding its breath. I walked inside and deadbolted every lock. Then I opened the metal box again. Pulled out the burner phone. The one I swore I'd never touch again. There were 2 missed calls from a blocked number. And 1 voicemail. I played it. Static. Then a voice. Male. Calm. Familiar. "You were warned once. You didn't listen. We know where your son goes. We know where you sleep. Stop digging. Stop talking. Or this time, you won't get to disappear." I dropped the phone. My knees hit the floor. Mason ran to me, but I couldn't speak. Couldn't move. My skin was cold and burning all at once. They weren't guessing. They weren't bluffing. They knew. I wasn't hiding anymore. I was hunted. And something inside me snapped. Quietly. Cleanly. They thought fear would silence me again. They forgot what made me dangerous in the first place. The next morning, I walked Mason to school like nothing had happened. I smiled at the teacher. Waved at the crossing guard. My hands didn't shake, my voice didn't crack. But every step I took was a calculation. Every glance around me was a scan for threats. I wasn't living anymore, I was strategizing. I called out sick from the hospital. Locked myself inside the apartment. And got to work. I pulled everything from the metal box. Every document, every transcript, every flash drive. I laid it all across the living room floor like pieces of a puzzle I hadn't looked at in 2 years. Names. Dates. Audio clips. Screenshots. Medical codes. A whole damn blueprint of the lies they thought they buried. I still had the list of people who tried to destroy me. Doctors. Executives. Attorneys. Journalists they bought. Private investigators they paid to follow me. And now, neighbors? Was it possible that someone in this very building was working for them? I thought about the woman in 2C. The man with the fake smile in 1D. The creepy old landlord who never knocked. It could have been any of them. Or all of them. I sent an encrypted email to the only contact I still trusted, someone who once owed me a favor so big it could sink a career. No message. No details. Just one subject line. Need a clean drop. An hour later, I got a ping, a cloud drive link with full military-grade security. No names. No metadata. No location tracking. Perfect. I uploaded everything. But I wasn't done. They wanted to scare me back into silence. Instead, I was going to make them famous again. I started drafting a letter, addressed to every major news outlet, medical ethics board, and patient rights organization I could think of. The kind of message that, once opened, couldn't be ignored. Mid-sentence, I heard it. The click of my mailbox. I froze. Then footsteps. Someone walking away. Slow. Intentional. I ran to the door, yanked it open, and saw him. Middle-aged. Tan coat. Black cap. Holding a coffee like he belonged here. He didn't look back. I opened the mailbox. Inside, a USB drive. No note. No case. Just the drive. I stared at it like it might explode. Then, slowly, I plugged it into my laptop, offline, air-gapped. With every protection I could manage. It contained exactly one file. A video. Grainy security footage. Dated 6 days ago. Night vision filter. Silent. It showed my apartment door. At 2:13 a.m. The video captured a man kneeling in front of it. Picking the lock. He wore gloves. Moved with precision. He opened the door. Slipped inside. 38 minutes passed. Then he walked back out. Slowly, like he'd taken his time. There was one final frame. He looked directly at the camera. Smiled. And winked. That video had never been made for me. It had been made for them. To prove he'd done his job. And that meant someone else, someone I didn't know, was watching them. I wasn't the only one fighting back. That changed everything. If someone out there had eyes on the people hunting me, if someone had been tracking the tracker, then I wasn't completely alone. But that begged the question, who sent the video? And why now? I didn't sleep that night. I lay on the couch with the lights off, laptop on my chest, fingers hovering over the keyboard. Every sound outside made my heart slam against my ribs. The hum of the fridge. A car door 2 blocks away. The creak of the pipes. Mason slept in my room, door locked, phone by his side with the emergency contacts already dialed in. By 4 a.m. I was done waiting. I uploaded the video into the same cloud folder as everything else. Then I hit send on the email draft. I sent it to 12 organizations, for journalists, 2 watchdog groups, and a single Reddit user who'd once published leaked documents before any major outlet dared to touch them. Then I shut my laptop, stood up, and breathed. Really breathed. For the first time in months, the weight on my chest shifted. Not gone, but lighter. Because the truth wasn't just mine anymore. At 7:45 a.m., I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. I saw it. I believe you. More coming. I didn't reply. Didn't need to. Later that morning, as I stepped outside with Mason to walk him to school, I saw her, the woman from 2C, standing at the bottom of the stairwell. She stared at me with an expression I couldn't read. But she didn't mutter this time. Didn't whisper. Instead, she asked, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Is it true?" I didn't answer. I just looked her dead in the eye and said, "Watch the news tonight." By the time I got to work, 3 of the emails had bounced back. But one, a local reporter in Dallas, responded with 4 words. "Can we talk now?" I left my shift early. I didn't tell my supervisor why. I didn't need to. When I walked out to the parking lot, the white SUV was back. But this time, it wasn't empty. A man sat in the driver's seat, staring straight ahead. No camera. No phone. Just stillness. I walked right up to him, heart pounding. He rolled down the window, just an inch. "I'm not afraid of you anymore," I said. He smiled. Not the kind that reached his eyes. Then he drove off. Slow. Unbothered. But I knew what that smile meant. He wasn't there to scare me. He was there to say goodbye. By the time I got home, my inbox had exploded. Journalists. Whistleblower support groups. Even a law firm out of New York. The video had been leaked. Someone had shared it on Reddit, and within hours it spread like wildfire. Headlines started trickling in. Former nurse exposes Texas medical cover-up. Footage confirms illegal entry. Vanessa Brooks breaks her silence. Whistleblower resurfaces after 2 years in hiding. I didn't ask for fame. I asked for safety. But the spotlight has its own rules, and once it finds you, there's no turning it off. The neighbors changed overnight. The same woman who once spat near my doormat now left a tray of cookies at my door with a post-it. Sorry if I ever judged you. The man from 1D. The one who never spoke to me unless it was to sigh in disapproval, suddenly offered to walk Mason to the bus stop. I didn't trust any of it. Because nothing in my world changed because they understood. It changed because they were afraid. That night, I kept the lights on in every room. I let Mason fall asleep on the couch. The news still murmuring in the background. They were already dissecting my testimony, pulling court documents, interviewing people I hadn't spoken to since the trial. My past was unraveling in front of the entire country, detail by painful detail. The phone rang at 1:03 a.m. I knew who it would be. I let it go to voicemail. Then pressed play. Same voice. Same calm tone. I told you what would happen, Vanessa. But you chose the stage. You chose the light. So now we'll finish what you started. Let's see how far you're willing to go, this time. Without the courtrooms and cameras. I stared at the screen. And then, quietly, I said it out loud for the first time in years. I'm not the victim anymore. The next day, I filed an official report with the State Medical Board, reactivating the last piece of my old license. I filed for full federal protection under whistleblower status, again. And I hired a lawyer, one whose firm specialized in taking down billion-dollar institutions. I didn't hide. I didn't run. I walked out of my apartment in broad daylight. Stood in the courtyard. Faced every neighbor, every stranger, every quiet watcher. And for the first time since I arrived in that rundown building, I said clearly, "My name is Vanessa Brooks. And I'm done being afraid." Mason watched me from the balcony. His little hands gripping the rail, his face lit by the morning sun. And I knew, whatever came next, I had already won.